Hello, everybody. My name is Krista McCann, and I have been teaching for over 20 years. And wanted to share some of the things that have really changed my career and some of my methods of teaching. And I kind of consider them the gemstones, the 10 best practices that I have found in my 20 years of teaching. And I'm hoping that they can help out any teachers who might be struggling in a similar area or new teachers. There's no need to reinvent the wheel if you've got somebody willing to help you with that. And so that's what I'm trying to do with this. So here we go. One of the first things that I have found is super helpful, obviously, is setting your class expectations. And it's tough on the first day of school because so many other teachers are doing that as well. And so I know a lot of students feel overwhelmed with all the barrage of information coming at them. So I do a couple of things. One, since I teach art, I do a coloring sheet. But even if I didn't teach art, I would probably still do a coloring sheet. I know that I'm one of the kind of people that likes to doodle and draw during faculty meetings or things like that. And so this gives my students a chance to kind of mindlessly follow along and hopefully stay engaged. And so I start and I jump all around the coloring sheet. And so it kind of keeps them alert and paying attention, is that I'll say, okay, look for such and such. And so then they're looking for such and such, and they can color it in, or they're just noticing what it says. And so those are where I put just the random little fun expectations and rules and snippets about my class. And I just wanted to do it in a fun way that they could follow along with me and then keep it. They put it in their portfolio so they've got it on hand if they need it. And then they use it for their first assignment. I make my students write memes based on some of the expectations, and we hang them up around the room because they're hilarious, and I love them. And so here's some of the memes that the students made this year. So this one makes you laugh. When you want art, but you have to follow rules. So yeah. And then this one, when your art teacher asks you why there's a bite-sized chunk missing out of the glue stick. So these are high school kids, but this is funny. And it's a chance for them to go back the following day, and they have to review the material that I gave as expectations and choose their favorite one and kind of process and problem solve. How can I make a meme out of this? And so it's a fun way to do that. It allows them to be snarky, which high school kids are great at. And then they create something. And this also we do on our computers because we don't necessarily have all of our art supplies yet. I've experienced that over the years, whether students haven't brought what they need, or orders that I've ordered have not made it through all of the hoops they have to jump through for school orders yet. So we do these on our Chromebooks. When I heard we're getting a seating chart, when they said we can choose one person we know to sit by, I do assign seats, and I change it up all the time, but I usually let my students pick one person. No, let me change it. I usually let my students request one person. And so they know that I will entertain requests that are made, and I tell them usually if you've demonstrated in the first couple of days of school before we have a seating chart that you can get your work done, even sitting by your favorite person in this class, you'll probably get your request. But those who have demonstrated that no, the distraction is more than you can work with, then I will probably help you make a better choice for this class. So anyway. When there's no phone, so you get to connect with friends. This was the one kid who had like a positive reaction to the information of I don't allow phones in class. So that was kind of fun. Number 2, connecting with students. Hugely important, and not just once, but throughout the year. And so there's several things that I do to connect with my students. One of the very first things that I do is I send an email to my parents, to the student parents. As soon as I get my list, and then you've got, parent contact information, I've got this in a PDF. I adjust it little by little when needs be, but it's just basically an information sheet about me. And so on this one, I tell them the first paragraph's kind of the basic stuff. I'm Miss McCann, I'm your art teacher. And this one is the one that I give to the students. I have one similar that I give to parents. I'm your art teacher, is my second year here. The clubs that I'm involved in, my family, that kind of stuff. I tell them a little bit about my personality, things that I would love to do, fun facts, and then I ask them to do the same. So this is also something we do on the first day, and that's our first assignment, is that they just introduce themselves. They can write it in a list. Some of them really get involved in it, and they do like a scrapbook. But, that tells me something. Every bit of information tells me something about these kids. But the one that I send to the parents, I include information that's appropriate on a parent level. I recently went through cancer, recently got divorced, recently moved, and parents are probably like, wow, this lady is an oversharer, which I am, and I'm comfortable with that. But also I tell them, I'm like, why do I tell you these things that are hard? Because, I want you to tell me the things that are hard too, for your kid. It helps. Real connections help. And if you're not willing to be, transparent and real with your students and families, then it's difficult to require them to be the same in return. And I know that people feel differently about that. Some people are more private by nature and separate their work life with their home life. And although those two things don't really intersect for me, home life and work life, I'm not secretive about the things that I've gone through in my life. It makes me who I am, and that's relevant in art. You just have to know, I guess, what you're comfortable with sharing and the right limit for you, and what's appropriate, age appropriate with your students. Like I said, I don't share a lot of that part in there with my students, but I do with their parents. And I get interesting emails back in return, ones that say things like, we're going to try this year without Ritalin and see how they do. Oh, good to know. Or I get ones where they'll say, we lost everything in a house fire, and so transition is hard for our daughter. That kind of information is, vastly important for me. And again, if I'm willing to put myself out there, I find that students and families are as well. So it helps create that safe space that we're always looking for anyway. I also do birthday cards. I just get the cheap bulk birthday cards off Amazon or Walmart, and they're very, very generic. And we're teachers. We do all of our appointments on things in the summer, our dentist appointment and doctor's appointments and oil changes and all of that stuff. Or, those who travel, sitting in the airport and stuff. I take a handful of these blank cards with me when I go to these appointments, and I just sign them. Happy birthday, love, Miss McCann. Happy birthday, love, Miss McCann. And so, yeah, they're not necessarily personalized for every student. I mean, the wish is there whenever they get the card. I'm wishing them a happy birthday. But I bring all these cards and up to my classroom, and they're in envelopes, and I love putting confetti in it. They love that. So it's got confetti in it. And then I print out my student list, and sometimes I have my student aide even help me and look through, all of my records, and here's the birthdays for this month. Write the address on there, and then a little teeny tiny number in the corner that tells me what day that month that their birthday is. And then I just drop them in the school mail, so I don't have to pay postage on it. So, and I have had so many kids come up and say, Miss McCann, I got your birthday card. Thank you very much. And I mean, just segues into conversations with kids that probably wouldn't have happened any other way. So this is something, it was one of those things that, yeah, teachers spend a lot of money on their class and whatever. I'll spend $15 on birthday cards because it makes a tremendous difference in building relationships with my kids. Number 3, bell work. I believe in bell work. I believe in a unifying activity when kids come into the classroom. It does a couple of things for me. It sets a routine. They know the expectation as soon as you walk in the room. Here's what you do. You get out. There's something projected on our screen. That's the bell work, and I typically have a system they kind of follow. I put up a masterpiece on Monday. They draw and describe it in words and pictures. And on Tuesday, we add the information and facts about it. We watch a short little video about the artist or artwork. Wednesdays, we talk about vocabulary that's relevant, any kind of key terms to what we've been working on. Thursdays are usually some philosophical question, some kind of, I don't know. There's no wrong answer, opinion question. And then Fridays, usually some kind of art debate. It's fun talking to them about court cases or, I don't know, we do all kinds of things, that are just current. I get them from Scholastic Art, and they've got, here's this person's side, here's this person's side, what would you do? And so it's kind of fun, and some of them get really heated, and I love it. But like I said, it's the kids know what to do when they come in. They come in, they look at the board, they see the screen, they get out their bell work. It's either in a sketchbook or sometimes, for classes that don't utilize sketchbooks for me, I've got these little sheets printed and they just fill it out. Let's see. So like I said, it gets everybody on the same page, but it also gives me an opportunity, because I give them just 3 or 4 minutes to work on this, gives me an opportunity to take attendance, deal with anybody that's, coming to my desk, Miss McGann, I forgot this, or, here, I turned this in late, or can I take this note to the nurse, blah, 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 all those little, things that prevent you from starting class on time. So this way I can get class started on time, and I can still deal with all those little things. And then at the end of, the 3 or 4 or 5 minutes that they've been writing on whatever it is on the bell work, we come together. And so I greet them, hey, here's what it was. So for example, on Mondays, they're looking at a famous work of art and drawing and describing it. So I ask them, tell me what you noticed. And so they start, calling out things that they saw in this work of art, and it begins a discussion, and they're all together. That's the only point in art room that we're all together daily, because once they start a project, they're not together anymore. Some are fast, some are slow, some are having troubles, some are, doing it like a breeze, some aren't doing it at all. And so, bell work, find a way to make it work for you. The other thing that's relevant to me about it is that this is how I get some of those hard to cover standards. So art history is not always easy to get into some of these assignments and get that content covered. So I use it for bell work often. So anyway, big believer in bell work. Check it out. I put mine on a Google Slides, and so I can reuse it from quarter to quarter, or from year to year. I just do a quarter at a time, and that way it's already prepared, and I can tweak it each day. But it's pretty much already written from year to year, because my students don't repeat my classes. Get out of school on time. This is another thing that I've learned that has been a game changer for me. Now, to be fair, that doesn't really apply in August and sometimes not even September. I remember recently telling, my boyfriend, I was like, I'm sorry, August, you just won't see me. It's just difficult. He goes, babe, it's September. I'm like, oh yeah, right. So anyway, it's a little hard until I get my students knowing the routine, knowing the expectations, and accustomed to all of our procedures and stuff. And then they become a little more self-sufficient and don't need me constantly directing and hovering over them and interacting constantly. Once they kind of have a lot of that down, they get a little more autonomous, and I've got a little more opportunity to get some of the paperwork kind of stuff done, checking emails and things like that. But here's my suggestions for how to get out on time. Pace yourself, create a schedule. So yes, we get planned times. Usually they're crammed full, with trying to get everything done. Or unfortunately, sometimes it's that you're covering a class. And in the beginning of the school year, my plan times are chock full of things like that. I've got lists and lists. But once things kind of settle into the norm, my plan times have a schedule. On Mondays, I check the grades and the assignments that they turned in on Friday. I enter grades. On Tuesdays, it just kind of depends. On Tuesdays, typically I use Artsonia for a digital classroom, and so I create those digital classrooms and post those links. We're a Google's Classroom school, so I post those in Google Classroom so that they've got them there when they need them on Friday. We use a Google rubric, so I create those and put those in there too. Usually that's Tuesdays. Wednesdays, usually kind of catching up on whatever it is I need to, or sometimes just going down to the library and visiting with my best friend. Thursdays, I'm typically writing the lesson plan for the upcoming week. And then on Fridays, I usually get those posted in Google Classroom for them for the upcoming week. So you just, like I said, come up with a schedule that on this day I do this, and on this day I do this. And it just, I don't know. We work better with schedules, I believe. A routine. Students do, so do teachers. Organize and label the heck out of your art room or classroom wherever you can, and in whatever manner works best for you. You can kind of see on my cabinet doors, things are labeled. Uh, this showing is set up for when we were working on watercolor, where students had seat numbers in our classroom, and so if they sat at seat number 23, they knew that pan number 23 was their watercolor pan, and that way I could see when it was time to clean up. And I go over to the cabinet and I look. I'm like, nope. Number 45, come back. You didn't get it done. Anyway, and so they just come back up, take care of their business. But it's easier that way. I don't have to stand at the sink and make sure everybody's cleaning up the way they are, which is a way to make kids in charge of it as much as possible. So as much as you can put back on students to be responsible for their own job, work, cleanup, setup, any of that kind of stuff, then the better it will be. Is another reason why I make students grade themselves. We use a Google rubric. They grade themselves. I get the points. They upload their artwork to a digital classroom, and so I can see what it looks like. Their parents can see what it looks like. And so they don't have to turn anything in. And then also, I can kind of look through that and say, I would like this one and this one and this one to come back so that I can not come back to school. They don't take them home yet, but to come to my desk so that I can hang them up in the hall or enter them in, a contest or something like that. But I make the kids in charge of it. They grade themselves. And it's okay to say no. I have teachers and admin come to me all the time and say, oh, we're putting on a school play. Would you be willing to help do the, backdrops or whatever? No, I'm sorry. I don't have free time for that. Or, we thought it would be really cool if your students did such and such. Like, I don't have my own standards to teach. But no, it's okay to say no. And you can say it nicely, whatever. But that's something that's taken me 50 years to learn how to do, is how to decline and say no. And I've definitely gotten a lot better at it as I've gotten older. So, but if you're able to figure that out sooner, it will help you out. Returning pencils, the bane of existence of the art room. I've tried everything. I've tried taping a spoon on them, taping a flower on them. There was one time, maybe one time, that I had students leave a shoe, and then I was quickly discovered, gross. I don't want to do that. I don't want a book. I don't want any of their belongings at my desk. I struggle keeping my own self organized. I don't need student stuff up there cluttering my space also. So what I did discover worked well for me is I have a dry erase board, and you can get these little pencil holders, pen holders. Sometimes you'll see them on clipboards at the bank or whatever. But anyway, and you get 5 in a little pack. Oh, no, this one was 10. Yeah, 10 in a pack for $13. And again, I know, like I said, sometimes we shouldn't have to buy the things we want for our classroom. And if you can put this on a Amazon wish list for parents, then more power to you. But sometimes my own sanity is worth more than the $13. And so I'm I'll do it. Anyway. You put them on a dry erase board or the wall or wherever. The dry erase board worked well for me, because then the students would sign their name when they took the pencil from it. And I put it where I would see it at the end of class. I discovered whenever I had it at a place that I thought was convenient by my desk, it wasn't working because I wasn't seeing it at the end of class and kids are lining up, and I wouldn't remind them, hey, don't walk out with my pencils. But once I put it in a place that I spotted it as we were getting cleaned up and lined up, then I was able to, call out kids' names and they're like, oh yeah. And then they would return my pencil. So worked a whole lot better. Also, Feed the Children Teacher Store here in Oklahoma City has free pens and pencils all the time. It's difficult to get in to get an appointment to shop there, but everything you get there is free. You have to be on the watch for it early in August to sign up for it. This past year, I've gone to it for years and years, where I've been able to sign up each month. They did their sign up differently this year, and in August they opened up the whole year, and so people signed up for the whole year. And I wasn't able to get a single spot. So I'm not able to go this year, which is super disappointing because it is an amazing resource they do for teachers and students. Number 6, co-teach with yourself. So this was something I was doing before COVID started, but once COVID started, I was super glad that I was already doing this stuff. Creating videos and posting them in our Google Classroom because I wanted kids to be able to see the way to do something the way that I wanted them to do something. So even if it was like finding another video or something, but they seem to listen better when it's your voice on the recording. And especially like elementary kids, and maybe not so much anymore now that we've had all this pandemic and all this virtual learning and stuff. But in the beginning, they were really thrown off by this, that I would be, on the screen and kids would go, Miss McCann, is that your voice? And I'm like, yep. Anyway, I was like, that's me, I'm drawing. And so I would be able to project what I was doing so that the whole class could see it. We have speakers in our classrooms, and so the whole class could hear it. And then I was able to walk around the room and help those who are struggling. So a fabulous way, if you've got something a little tricky that you anticipate some students having a hard time with, make a video of yourself teaching that lesson. And that way your mainstream kids can be doing that with you in the video. And then you are working with students who are struggling or who are not getting it correctly. So anyway, fun way to do that. Let's see if I can bypass this video though. No, there we go. And number 7, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but let kids grade themselves. There's so much about this that I like, especially in art. I mean, art's very subjective. I feel like in my 20 years, can I look at a student's art and tell whether they've tried their best? Yeah, I feel like I can tell that. But at the same time, am I right all the time? Probably not, so I have a rubric and I do use kind of a generic one, and I've got some links if you download this presentation, but you can kind of see on the right. Now I use a digital version of it now in a Google form since, like I said, we're a Google Classroom, but before that I used to use just a PDF and would have it printed and they would pick it up. It goes over a couple of categories. Knowledge. Did they show the main idea of the lesson in my artwork? And that goes back to the objective. And so do they know their objective? I've got it stated in my lesson plans. I've got it on the board. It's in our Google Classroom and stuff. And so they can decide how many points they get in that. Creativity and composition. Did I create something original? Or did I use someone else's idea? And so again, they're going to have to decide, yes, I used my own, or, I used someone else's idea, but I changed it, or, I made mine look just like someone else's. I mean, they'll have to decide with that. And then the craftsmanship, did I try my best on making my art look attractive? And I don't ever ask them, does it look good? Because what looks good to one doesn't always look good to another. And we know that about art. So I always ask them, did you try your best? That's what I'm asking for you, because everybody has that ability to try your best, and honestly, not everybody has the ability for it to look good. So there are some assignments that I do and I'm like, ugh, I'm not happy with this. And you get, especially kids that are very artistic, they get really critical of themselves. My perfectionists and things like that, I'm like, nope, I didn't ask you, is it good? I asked you, did you try? Similar, I don't ever ask them, is it done? I ask them, did you use your time well? Because again, art kind of has its own pace for some people and stuff. And so I'm not, and we've got softball games and, sickness and who knows what, assembly for the sophomores or whatever. So there's all kinds of reasons why kids are out of class. And so they may not have had as much time to finish as everybody else. So I never ask, is it finished? You grade what you were able to get done. And that's what we grade upon. And then did I put it in my gallery? Did I include an artist statement? I've got a differentiated rubric that I use for students who need one that's a bit more simplistic. I include a grading policy letter for my parents to know, hey, your student is giving themselves their grade. I love that because I don't really have to deal with any of the parent emails of why is my kid failing. I don't know. Ask them because they're the ones giving themselves their grade. Odds are they're not turning it in. And so, yeah, you've got to fill it out and turn it in so that so that I can enter the grade. And then on the extra credit side of it, if somebody needs extra credit or chooses extra credit, I have just a proposal. I got it off the Art of Ed online, and they create an idea and they propose it to you and say, here's what I think I could do. I've had some kids say, I would like to do a project on such and such, or I'd like to go back and do one of the things that we had already done and do it again because now I have some new ideas or I know how to do it better. And so, that's between you and that student to work that out. But that's how I handle extra credit. And sometimes the kids who need it and want it, they're all for, filling that out and going the extra mile of figuring it out. And some students who are not, they just really wanted you to hand them a crossword puzzle or something. They're like, yeah, never mind. And I'm like, fine by me, but I'm not going to spend my time creating extra credit opportunities when I already gave you opportunities to get credit. And for whatever reason, you didn't do it. And, and it's not that I graded you harsh because you grade yourself. So all of that kind of ties back in together. Go digital as much as possible. It used to be hard to do and to incorporate and to say, and now it shouldn't be hard. I mean, I feel like especially more and more of the younger teachers coming into the teaching profession, they're digital natives. I turned 50 this year. I am not. I went to college with a word processor. We learned how to use a ditto machine as one of my classes and stuff. So some of this technology doesn't even exist anymore. And it's ridiculous. I'm a dinosaur. But anyway, but here's some of the ways that I use digital technology methods in my classroom. I love Artsonia. It's a website that has online galleries. It allows parents and family members to connect with students' artwork, especially awesome because artwork doesn't always make it home. So especially the older kids get, I don't know, it's so much easier when parents can see what the kids are making. They can make comments on it and, kids can write their artist statement and stuff like that. And I love it. And you can see, and it transfers year to year, they'll automatically move your kids up and stuff like that. So it works great for elementary. I've used it with middle school and high school. Excuse me. And so it's also, they've got a shop products made out of kids' artwork, like they'll turn it into an ornament, or they'll turn it into a t-shirt or a phone cover, cell phone cover or something like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of things like that. And then you get a percentage of that. I don't push that necessarily, although I do have some parents who do that. I had more, the younger kids were, but by the time they're in high school, they're not typically as interested in that. But still, every now and then, Artsonia says, hey, you've got, $50, from parents buying stuff. Do you want to cash it out? And they'll let you cash it out in an Amazon gift card. I'm like, heck yeah, I got things on my list that I need to order. And, going back to some of those things that I showed you already, like those pencil keepers and things like that. That's what I do with that stuff. It also tracks their progress. So I love that from year to year, and that's pretty cool. I don't have a mountain. My school, I'm required to give 2 grades per week because we are an OSSAA school. And so We do bell work as a grade, a completion grade, and then their assignment. But I don't have time for 150 works of art on my desk every Friday to grade. That's the whole how you get out on time. So going back to that one, this is how they hand it in. So I can even review art at home. I don't have to be at school, and I'm not taking artwork home and that kind of stuff. So it's wonderful. And it also, I teach my students how to write artist statements. It gives you prompts that you can use. I teach my students how to write their own, and so we do that. But in the beginning, they rely on the prompts that they use, and so it's also a great fun way for them to connect with their families and their viewers and stuff. The galleries are private, and so it's pretty cool until the parents. So it's private between you and the student until you approve a parent to connect, and then it is shared between the parent and the student and stuff. And I think once the parent approves it, it's able to be visible by the general public. I also use it and download artist information and statements whenever I display their art. So I'll look through it and I'm like, oh, these are, the 5, ones that I want to display from this project. And so I shoot those kids an email or catch them in class. Hey, turn in your work. I would like to put it in the display case. And then I just copy and paste what they have for their artist statement already entered. And so it's great. But then I can even have them tell me, they'll go back and look, oh yeah, I remember my artist statement. And then I create QR codes. And so I just use my phone. And so I take a short little recording of them reading their artist statement. And then I put it on qrmonkey.com, creates free QR codes. And so I put it on the display. So when we do art shows and stuff, it's awesome because it's got their artwork, it's got their name, their statement, but then it's also got this little bit. Or this. Kids at first get a little, what are we doing? But then, it just becomes old hat. And so they get real comfortable with it and it's fine. I tell them, I'm like, literally, it's 30 seconds. It's all good. You can do it. You can tell we're in the choir hall too, in the fine arts hall with the band and choir, whatever's in the music's in the background in the meantime. No. I'm going to go through these again. Okay. Number 9, the greatest of all time subplan is this online Jeopardy board, and I use it as an online choice board. I use this for everything, and like I said, if you at the end, I'll share a QR code that you can scan and download a copy of it. It's been a lifesaver so many times. It's done like a Jeopardy style, so students can click on anything. In the first category, it's all drawing things. In the second category, it's all types of art that's connected with math concepts. And then STEM, so some problem solving engineering concepts in the STEM art and literacy. So it all is based on words somehow. And then cartooning with quite a bit of the anime and stuff, since they love that. And then the web-based learning for my kids that are tech savvy or just addicted to their Chromebooks and things. And so things like the animal webcams that are actual live webcams at different zoos and things, or reefs. And when they click on it, it's got further links that they can be more specific, and then the directions, and tells them how to upload and stuff like that. So this way, I mean, there are literally hundreds of links here. And, I've had people say, why do you give this away? Why don't you sell it on Teachers Pay Teachers? Because I have like Frankensteined this project from so many different places and sources. I wouldn't feel right selling it because, like I said, they're not all my resources, but just putting them together into a more accessible format for teachers and students has been helpful for me. Like under the portraits, there is a link on how to draw portraits, and it's a video that I made while going through chemo, and I had no hair because, when you're bald, you got to take advantage of what you can do. And so my kids always check that one out because they just want to see it. But it's awesome. It's just a fun way to do this. Like I said, I use this for kids that are homebound or suspended or maybe quarantined. I used it while I was going through my chemo, whenever I needed some days that I needed to kind of recoup, but I wanted my kids to keep making art. And so this way it allows them to choose something that they are interested in. And so the engagement in it is pretty high. So from every grade level that I've worked with, I've done this particular assignment with fourth grade through seniors in high school, and every single one of them finds something that is age appropriate for them and kind of modifies and connects with an interest they have. So keep this. Like I said, this is a good one. And then last but not least, fundraisers. Art is difficult because people feel like it's not band where you're in marching uniforms and competitions and your instruments and stuff. It's not, a club after school where you're fundraising for things and stuff like that. But yet I don't think anybody realizes that it is probably the most expensive class in the school because it's so consumable. We go through media and materials constantly. I can tell you how much a piece of copy paper costs. I can tell you how much a piece of drawing paper costs. That's white. I can tell you how much a piece of colored drawing paper costs. And so it just goes on and on. And so I do that on parent teacher nights. Sometimes I put a poster up and I say, did you know, and I tape a pencil to it. A pencil costs this. Did you know? And I'll put a glue stick on a piece, a glue stick costs this. And, and I do on there, we go through about this many a year and we go through this many a year. Anyway, so I try to break it down by the numbers so that parents can see. And at the school I'm at currently, we are allowed to charge an art fee. My other schools, I've not been able to do that, but the school does not have an art budget for me. So this was their compromise so that I could charge an art fee. But I got students that don't pay it. My art fee is $20 a semester, because I went through and did the math of our assignments and realized that we spend about $35 a year on each student on the materials that we use. So I did $20 a semester because sometimes my enrollment changes over the semester. Somebody drops or somebody comes in. Parents have the opportunity to pay the whole year if they'd like, but they don't have to. But anyway, let's see. So what we do for the students who don't pay, they've got some options. One here, it's this letter writing campaign. This is the letter that I did in Stillwater. It was already, written, and I tell the students, and I email it out to parents. I'm like, just send me 2 addresses of somebody that would be likely to support your child in art class. So this could be grandma, even if grandma lives in Florida, that's fine. That's awesome, because we're not sending any product. My own daughters would do ribs. They would sell ribs for their band program, and none of our family lived near us. And I would always tell them, we are not selling food poisoning to our family for fundraisers. And so I made them write up a letter themselves. Here's what I'm doing in band, and here's the dates of my competition, and here's my expenses. And anyway, and so, would you be willing to make a donation to my program to support me? Because anybody that's going to do that, they don't want the ribs. They don't want the cookie dough or the wrapping paper or the overpriced chocolate, that doesn't really taste that great anyway. They just want to support the kid. And in most of those programs, a very, very small percentage goes to the student. Like the ribs the girls were selling were like $20, and they got to keep $6 of it towards their account. I'm like, no, if a family member is going to pay $20, they want the $20 to go to the child. And so anyway, this is my issue with fundraisers. I still do them because some kids, that's their thing. They like it. They want to do that. They like all the trinkety stuff you can win. That's awesome. That works for some. And some people may not have, friends or family member that they want to approach in that manner. So that, like I said, I offer multiple methods, but this is the best one, has been the most successful for me. As I talk about, here's what we're learning in class, like life skills learning. Here's the money that we go through. Here's our goal and what we're trying to raise our money for. And then here's the levels that I'm looking for donations. I tell the students, I'm like, if you can each raise $20, we will have met our goal. But some donate more. Some people are like, I can only do $5. That would have been like my aunt. Every year for my birthday, I got a birthday card with a $5 bill in it, whether I was 5 years old or 50. Anyway, love it. But anyway, or I'll donate 20, and in addition to your class expenses, it will help pay for students that need assistance with their supplies or whatever. Or I'll pay 50, or I'll donate, and then let them fill in the amount. We used to be able to do GoFundMe until their banking practices changed and didn't align with our financial, rules at our school with our auditor and stuff. So we couldn't do GoFundMe anymore, but we do have credit systems in place now. And so sometimes I'll have a QR code there with a way that they can pay with a credit card. But anyway, there's that. And so it was fun watching letters come in. Like, I had my yearbook class do this, honestly, and we raised $9,000 with 15 kids, and it was insane. One of the girls, her grandmother just wanted to, she had a ton of money, wanted to donate. She wrote a check for $1,500. It blew me away. We wouldn't have got it if we hadn't asked. And so it's amazing to me. I felt like there was something else I wanted to mention about that, but I can't think of it. It was just fun watching them come in because they could go anywhere. They didn't have to be in our town. And so we would get letters of like, oh my gosh, this one's from New York. Who sent one to New York? And anyway, and then we also, just like the birthday cards, I run it through the school postage system. So I don't have to pay postage. So the students bring 2 addresses. They write, Dear Grandma, or Dear Aunt May, my name is blah, blah, blah. And then they sign it at the bottom. I sign it also, so they know it's legit. And we go from there. If a student didn't have family member to send it to, I gave them the option to sending it to a local business. And I told them, I said, it needs to be, preferably somebody that you have a connection with, send it to your dentist or your, hairstylist or something. But if not, then let's send it to one that's not a chain. Let's send it to, someplace that's not this franchise type thing, but somebody that's here, a small business kind of thing that is a part of our community. And sometimes that opened up neat doorways and things like that as well. So anyway, that is the other method for fundraising that I allow my students. And one other small on this topic too, it's not a fundraiser, but my students, for the art fee, if they can't pay it, I allow them to work it off too, because that's a valuable skill and life lesson too. And, I've got students who, they come after school once a week and they do all the things. They put things back in the proper places and, organize the stacks of paper and empty the pencil sharpeners and wipe down the sink. And it's awesome. And I'm thankful for it. And so I'm always looking for that every year, for a couple of students who they're like, no, I'd rather work for it than do the fundraiser or do the letter of support or pay the art fee. I can work with that. So anyway, that's it. So this is the QR code. If you want to capture it with your phone or anything like that, and make sure that you can access this presentation. Like I said, it's just a Google slide. And so I'm not sharing editing rights of it, obviously, but you can make a copy and so that you can download it. But also this way you've got the links that you need to all of those different PDFs and the sub plan and all that kind of stuff. So If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. My information was at the beginning of the slideshow, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So I hope some of this helps you as you are either about to start your teaching journey or on your teaching journey, and that these tips are something that you can try to implement. I didn't do them all in 1 year. Like I said, this is over 20 years for me. And so maybe pick just a couple and try that and see if that helps. And then, try another couple later on or something like that. So anyway, best wishes to you all.